in this Ramadan.
Now, at the end of Ramadan, Muslims around the world look forward to celebrating Eid. Now, for most people, a time spent with family, friends, and loved ones, both young and old, is the highlight of the day or the days of Eid. Now, attending the Eid Salah in the masjid or the musalla can be heartbreaking if you have nowhere to go afterwards. Now, in the United Kingdom, Eid festivals afford communities a place to and a venue to access the happiness that comes with the day. Because of COVID-19, I'm assuming that these festivals have not been held for the last 2 years, and this year it's coming back. Jamilla Hekmoun is a PhD student in mental health and is also chair of the Muslim Mental Health Alliance. She joins me now via StreamYard in Cardiff, Wales. Jamilla, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for joining us. Ramadan Kareem to you, your family, and to everybody there in Cardiff.
Thank you very much. Ramadan Kareem to South Africa.
Fantastic. Jamilla, for those of us who don't know, the Eid festival, how, because we don't have it here in South Africa, in the United Kingdom, what is the Eid festival in that context and how did it come about?
So it really differs, I think, from city to city, but we have lots of kind of parks and open spaces, and really in areas especially like London and Birmingham, where there are large Muslim communities, local mosques and local organizations really utilize that, and they kind of, on each Eid, they will have the prayer, and then they'll have kind of like a fun fair or food stalls and different activities throughout the day to make Eid feel kind of a bit more special, especially for kids.
Yeah, I can imagine living in the United Kingdom, which is it's not a Muslim country, is it? And I would see the value of having such festivals, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that there has, I think recently especially, been a big focus on wanting to make Eid special, wanting to make it, feel, I think especially in living in the United Kingdom, when you see, around Christmas time and how kind of big people celebrate at Christmas, and, you want to do something similar for your own festivals. You want to do something similar for Eid. You want to make it feel special because, if it's boring, I think young people especially aren't going to engage so much with Eid, particularly, if that's correct to say. And I think especially after the last few years that we've had in terms of COVID, it's really important to kind of celebrate being together, celebrate as a community, celebrate with our families. So yeah, I think definitely this year, Eid is or will be kind of May time, so we're hoping that the British weather will hold out. Last year, so I was involved in organising Eid at the Castle, which was in Cardiff last year, and we prayed Eid Salah. This was Eid al-Fitr last year at Cardiff Castle, so we prayed in the castle grounds, and that was kind of one of the first big events that was put on. It was a Welsh government test event. We all had to get tested. It was kind of a smaller celebration, but it really felt special, and it felt like we were getting things back. So I think really this year we will start seeing, a return of the festivals and things that we were used to seeing before COVID.
Right. So COVID did have an impact on the festivals, haven't they? In the terms that, in the sense that they were not allowed anymore.
Yeah. So they weren't allowed. So there was in 2020. I think it was before, and I can't remember which Eid it was before. But there was in a few of the northern towns which have high Muslim populations, they went into lockdown the night before Eid, and it was only announced via a text message at 9 p.m. at night. People were getting ready to get up and pray Eid Salah. Loads of things got cancelled. There was massive uproar with the local government because, they knew it was the night before Eid. They knew Muslim communities were getting ready to kind of come together. And it was really kind of disheartening, and that definitely had an impact on people. So yeah, COVID definitely had a massive impact, and I think especially in the earlier days of lockdown, when we had our first Ramadan during lockdown, I think at that time, especially in the UK, COVID was disproportionately affecting BAME communities, Muslim communities. So I think people were a lot more wary as well of having family get-togethers, having gatherings. So alhamdulillah, we're able to have these different Eid events this year.
And I must just be honest with you. I mean, I was scrolling through my timeline and I saw your tweets, and and then I sent you a DM to say, look, could Nasreen please try and get hold of you and try to get you on the show, because what caught my attention was the fact that you said in your tweet, and I'm not quoting you verbatim, but you said something about mental health, and you said, because nobody should feel so alone this Eid, I'm going to make sure that everybody knows what to do, where to go on Eid day, and these festivals are back. And that made me want to talk to you. So mental health and the Eid festival, could you make the connection for us?
Yeah, so I think it's more around kind of loneliness, especially when so I'm someone where half of my family is Muslim, half my family is not Muslim. And I've often been in a position where, my dad's side of the family who are Muslims haven't been in the country, or I've been with my mum's side of the family during Ramadan and Eid, or I've been away for university. And it's been quite a lonely experience, and that can definitely have an effect on your mental health. And so a few years ago, when I started noticing that there were events for Eid in the UK, I started tweeting about them, finding, going online, researching any kind of Eid event that I could find, and putting them all into one place so they were easily accessible, because, it's difficult. I'm speaking as someone who currently, I'm living alone because my housemate is away. I'm celebrating Ramadan by myself, and it does get lonely, and it does get quite sad sometimes when you think, I'm the only person, the only thing I have to talk to is my Alexa. So, I think I just wanted to make sure that on Eid, people at least then won't be alone. And it is something that I like to do every single Eid. It's something that I haven't been able to do for the past couple of years, but I think, yeah, it's definitely important. And especially Muslims who, either who are away for university, who are converts to Islam, people who maybe don't have family around them. I think it's really important that the local communities and people become their family, for example. I'm very, passionate about that, I guess.
Absolutely. So we're talking about having this thread on Twitter, so that anybody who follows you or who sees it, the tweet will say, okay, fine, I come from Latin, or I come from Birmingham, and there are 2 or 3 different Eid festivals taking place. Tell me what typically goes down at an Eid festival besides the Eid Salah or congregational prayer.
Yeah, so usually there'll be the Eid Salah, and I think it differs. When we have Eid al-Adha, normally the festivals are a couple of days long. But yeah, so there'll be the Eid Salah, and then there'll be normally a fun fair, bouncy castles, food stalls. Some, will have like nasheed artists come along. Different stalls selling things. I've been to Eid in the Square, which was in Trafalgar Square in London. They had kind of live performances. They had different stalls. It really depends on the city and what they do in each city. But yeah, they can be really cool. They can be, and it kind of fosters that spirit of community and that spirit of togetherness. And that's something that I think we've really needed after the last 2 years that we've had.
Absolutely. So let's hone in on mental health. You are the chair of the Muslim Mental Health Alliance, and of course, you're a PhD student in mental health. And this is something that you're obviously interested in. From your observations of the Muslim community, do you think mental health rather is something that is taken seriously in the communities? Because now we get into a stage where mental health has become a serious matter, even on the international stage. We have Naomi Osaka talking about it. We have top level athletes talking about their mental health. Tell me about your feelings about this in the communities.
Yeah, so I think for a long time it wasn't taken seriously, but I don't think that was specific to Muslim communities. I think Muslim communities, we have our own kind of a relationship with mental health, but there are other kind of things, I guess. I think a lot of what we see in the Muslim community, we think of Islam is really culture. So for example, stigmatizing mental health, that's really a kind of cultural thing. If we look back at our Islamic traditions, you know, we've got a whole host of mental health. So for example, you know, the first psychiatric hospitals in the world were coming from the Islamic world, in Baghdad, in Cairo. You know, we do have a history with some of our great thinkers around mental health. I think that there is still a stigma, but I think with what happened with COVID, it's kind of difficult to not take mental health seriously anymore. I think COVID has really brought mental health to the forefront. Apologies if I went off on a tangent. That happens a lot, but I hope that answers the question.
No, you are answering the question, and I'm really fascinated by what you're talking about, and hence why we have you on the show today. And I really want to commend you for what you're doing, and inshallah, through your thread and your tweets on Twitter, lots of people will know where to go. Could you perhaps do you mind sharing your handle so that people might know how to follow, and if there's any information they need about any type of Eid festival, any part of the UK?
Yeah, so it's Jamilla Tweets. So just my name, it's going across the screen now, and then tweets.
Right.
And yeah, it's my pinned thread on my profile. Yeah, so I hope that anyone listening in the UK will be able to find somewhere. Maybe I should do a South Africa thread.
Well, we don't have Eid festivals. That's the thing. We don't.
You guys should start one. A Salam Media Eid festival.
Possibly. I think that's an idea. You know, definitely inspired by Jamilla Hekmoun. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. Jamilla, I really enjoyed talking to you, and may Allah reward you for the work you're doing, and make it easy for you, and reward you as well for the awareness that you are bringing for mental health issues in the Muslim community.
I mean, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Jamilla Hekmoun there. She's joining us from Cardiff, Wales, talking to us about mental health issues in the United Kingdom, particularly on the day of Eid, the Eid festivals. You can follow her on Twitter, Jamilla Tweets. That's at Jamilla Tweets. And she will be able to keep you informed. It's something that she's updating on a regular basis. The new Eid festivals in whatever cities will be taking place. Let me just give you a typical idea of what it is that she puts on this on the thread. So she's talking about an Eid festival in Latin hosted by One Eid. They have food stalls, fun fair, and games, and even fireworks. Right, and it's going to be a 2-day Eid festival, 2nd and 3rd of May. And then she talked about Eid in the Square in London, Trafalgar Square. She said the venue, Trafalgar Square in Westminster, and that's for free. And it's coming back for the first time after 2 years. There's even an Eid cruise. There's a buffet brunch that you can have from £40 or £50 of VIP tickets. Eid festival in Westfield, White City. So you can just go onto the thread, and I think for me it was just fascinating that these things actually happen. And obviously, in London and in those parts of the world in the UK, they would make a lot more sense. In South Africa, we have much our nuclear communities are somewhat joined together, and people want to know exactly where do you go for Eid, what are you doing for Eid, and if you're from out of town, you'll be able to join a family and take part in the Eid activities. So alhamdulillah, we seem to have that sorted. But in the United Kingdom, where people come from different parts of the world and many people live alone, sometimes they have these Eid festivals just to ensure that people don't suffer from feelings of loneliness. And I think that's a fantastic initiative. Bringing our time to 26 minutes after 4. And before we go for the break, an important announcement that we have for you. Sentio, an ethically based asset manager focused on delivering superior risk-adjusted returns for their clients, regardless of market conditions. For more information on Sharia investment products, visit their website, www.sentio-capital.com, and start saving towards your investment goals today. Centio Capital Management, invest for good. Centio Capital Management is an authorized FSP.